There are some people who have the highest formal titles who are in no way servant leaders. They're power and control leaders. They're authoritarian leaders. This is not about the formal title. I think about my mom. Some of you, I talked a little bit about her last year. My mom was a public school secretary in the 1950s and the 60s. She wasn't a servant leader. She bossed everybody around. That's what school secretaries did back then. I think they still do, because they basically run the school, don't they? And at home, she wasn't a servant leader. My dad and I did exactly what she said. And I'm glad I did, because now I'm here to tell you about it, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't be here. So that title, mom, may not be what a servant leader ought to be. But the idea, and I'm not sure if parents need to be servant leaders. That's another conversation to have. But this idea of it's not a formal title. People say, you know, anybody here remember when they got their first business card? Anybody remember that? Got your first business card, and you thought, oh my gosh, I have a business card. I have arrived. It was like we didn't exist. Because see, we didn't understand what we understand now, that every person exists, and that every person is real, and that every person has purpose, and every person has value. But the way we were taught, specifically in the 60s and 70s, is you really weren't real until you got a title, until you got a business card. Imagine how dehumanizing that is for people. So everybody was chasing business cards, and everybody was chasing titles. I'm not sure if that made us servant leaders or not. It is also not limited to a job description. They do stories about people in homeless shelters who lift each other up, people in nursing homes who tend to each other, certain people in mental institutions who help other patients. So it's not job description. Job description, homeless person, mental ill. That don't seem like much of a job description, but that person is taking care of the other homeless people and lifting them up. They tell a story of this one man who's homeless. They kind of live in a little community under a bridge, and one of the guys had a birthday, and they were talking, and he said he never had a birthday party, never, like 50 years old, and they were all talking. So one of the guys went to one of the cupcake stores, and he went in, and he said, I don't have any money. And it was near where they lived, and you could tell, you know, he was homeless. And the good news is, guess what? There was a servant leader on the other side of that counter. He came in, he said, I don't have any money. He said, one of our guys who lives under the bridge, it's his birthday. He's not even quite sure how old he is. Can I have a cupcake for him? He's never had a birthday party before. The person behind the counter started crying. She said, how many people live under the bridge? He said, about 12 of us, depending on the day. She said, I'm gonna give you 12 cupcakes, one for everybody. And he said, no, I don't need 12 cupcakes, it's only his birthday. She said, it's not about his birthday. I want you all to celebrate each other. See, this is what happens when a servant leader meets another servant leader. And then guess what she started doing? At the end of every day, the product that she had to get rid of, because of health department rules, she started taking it to them. That's the power when a servant leader meets another servant leader. So the job description is, I'm homeless, I'm mentally ill, and I live under a bridge. Let's see that on a business card.